cutting up the sausage. I've cut up the onion, the garlic, and the celery. And I really haven't measured it, but I would guess it's almost a cup of celery, a couple of cloves of garlic, and a medium head of onion. Now I'm cutting up the sausage into this size. And just a little tip, I've sharpened my knives before I got started. Just find yourself a knife sharpener at department store or Walmart, hardware store. They've got all sorts of knife sharpeners. And let me tell you, the kitchen experience will be a lot more fun if you have a sharp knife, and a lot safer. I don't care for these little tiny ends, so I'm going to give them to the dogs in a few minutes, thinking I like it. Okay, got that ready. And I think that's it. I'll just put this in the sink and get ready to add everything together. Okay, let's start off with the, I changed pots because I think that after I add everything together, it's just going to be, too short, and I'll have to watch it so it doesn't boil over. So this is a little bit better. So if you can get I don't even know what size this is. Anyway, it's also good you could put 2 chickens in this pot. Now I have a bigger one if I'm going to make a huge gumbo that I can use. So here goes the onions. Now, because I'm going to be adding all these ingredients, I'm going to turn the heat up to close to high because I want to get it going. I want to get the heat up because I'm adding the chicken and I'm adding all this cold stuff, and so I want it to be, I want it to get it heated up quickly, get it cooking quickly. There's the celery. I'm going to start putting the chicken in. Water's heating up. Well, it's the roux water. This is our clean chicken. She had a bath. Okay. All this is going to get washed in some soapy water. And in a little while, after this chicken is cooked a little bit, I'm going to take my utensils and I'm going to the sink and I'm going to wash all of this off. The spoon rest, the spoon, because as the chicken cooks, I don't want to reintroduce raw into the cooked food. So it's going to be very important to wash all this off in about 20 minutes or so. I'm going to add the sausage. And you can add the whole thing, or you can add just part of it. I think I'm just going to add part of it. I'm not going to add the whole thing because it's going to be quite flavorful. So this is what it looks like at the beginning. Got my timer set for an hour. Of course, in a few minutes I'm going to, when it starts to boil, I'm going to turn it down to medium, which is about 5 on my stove. Right now I have it on almost on high, but it's just beginning to boil. When it really starts boiling, I'm going to turn it down to medium and let it cook. Set my timer for an hour, and probably as I check it, if I feel like it's just cooking too fast, I'm going to turn it down a little bit more. Just use your common sense, use some judgment, and we'll make a good gumbo. Now while my gumbo is cooking, I get things ready for the potato salad. So I'm going to use 3 potatoes. One is kind of a medium size. These are a little bit small, so I'm using these 3. I've washed them off with soapy water and brushed them. This is a great brush to have in the kitchen. You can use it for all sorts of stuff. Now, we don't mind the peelings. If you mind the peelings, just get a potato peeler and peel them. But if you don't mind the peelings, then just, take out the eyes, the bad spots, and whatever. And then I'm going to chop it up. Chop them up. And for this amount of potatoes, I've got 4 eggs that I'm going to boil. I've got my pot ready for my potatoes, and I'll just boil them until they're soft. Now the eggs, this is a really good trick. You get the eggs in some hot water and get it boiling. And as soon as it comes to a boil, put the lid on it, turn it off, leave it on the burner, and set your timer for 10 minutes. You will have perfectly cooked eggs every time. So we're going to just watch this to make sure it doesn't boil over. I'm going to chop the potatoes, and you just decide what size you want. I'll make it sort of small so that it doesn't take too long to cook. So these are so small that this is about the size that I want. Go ahead and start getting that going. Okay. Stir them up a little bit. And when it's all done, we're going to come back and I'll show you my magic ingredients for the potato salad. We're still making gumbo. It's a couple or 3-hour process to do. And right now I'm going to cut the parsley and have it ready, because after the gumbo's been cooking for an hour, I'm going to add the parsley and the onion tops. And we have 22 minutes left for it to be an hour that it's been cooking. So as you see, I've washed the parsley. I've got it all together where the leaves are just at the top. Got all my stems here. It's been dripping. And I'm going to cut, maybe a cup. Mesured à l'œil. It's measured by the eye. It's like, what do you like? Do you want more? Do you want less? And you have to experiment with that. If you have only a little bit of parsley, well, put a little bit of parsley. If you have more and you like more, put more. So this is how you go about getting it in there. Cut it up. Doesn't have to be real tiny, but you don't want big chunks. Typically, children don't like stuff floating around in the gumbo. So what you could do, which is one thing Pat's grandma did, Mama Lo, she would, in some of her dishes, she would tie it all together and let it be in there, and then she'd take it out later. Or you could grind it up. Just so it's in there, you have the flavor, but you don't have the floaty stuff, and the kids saying, ugh, it's not good. What's that? Now, I just want to say a few words about why I'm doing these videos. A young friend of ours, Margot, wanted me to teach her how to cook, how to make a gumbo. And we've just had a difficult time getting our schedules to coincide, and so I jokingly said, well, I'll just make some videos and we'll upload them to YouTube. Well, they got the little wheels turning, and that's why I'm doing this. It's not necessarily for you experienced Cajun cooks out there. It's for a younger person who maybe wasn't interested in cooking when they were living at home, and let me tell you, it's a lot of work to get a young person to cook when they don't want to cook. But when you turn 20-something and you move away from home and you get hungry, guess what? You want to learn how to cook. So that's who these videos are for. And if you are an experienced cook but you have not been around Cajuns very much and Cajun food, then this is for you. Now, the eggs are done. They're ready for the potato salad, and the potatoes are probably nearly done. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and you know, cooking, it takes about 4 hours to fix everything and about 10 minutes to eat it. And about another 30 minutes to clean up. So I've got my onion tops just about done here. I think that's about right. Now the rest of these I'm going to cut up and put in a Ziploc bag, put it in the freezer. The next time I make gumbo, I don't have to do this again. So you might have enough for 2 gumbos. Don't throw it away. Cut it up and then put it in a Ziploc, put the date on it, and stick it in the freezer. You'll have it all ready for the next time you make a gumbo or a stew. Now the eggs, let me just tell you this. Once the 10 minutes was over, took the pot to the sink, drained out the water, ran cold water on the eggs, broke them and let them sit in the cold water while it's running, and peeled them, and you had them waiting. Now another thing, while you were away on cachette, in secret, I added the rest of the roux to this gumbo. So a whole recipe of roux is being used to make the gumbo. I also washed my spoon and my little spoon rest. And I've been stirring in this every so often, and I like the way it looks. Now if when you're making the gumbo and it's boiling, you know, some of the water is going to evaporate. And if you need to add more water, just add more water. I haven't seasoned it yet. Now, it's going to have seasoning in it because the sausage is seasoned and the chicken was seasoned, and some of that seasoning is still on the chicken anyway I washed it. So before I season it more, I'm going to taste it, because I don't want it to be too salty or too peppered. And of course many children don't like red pepper. They don't like it to be hot or whatever. So in that case, you know, Mom, you just season it the way the children can eat it, and you add your stuff later. There's all sorts of ways to eat gumbo. You can put vinegar in it. You can put filet gumbo, which I keep in the refrigerator. That adds a nice flavor to it. You can have hot peppers on the side, peppered okra. My dad liked everything in most of his food. You know, it was the sweet peppers and the hot peppers and a little bit of maybe mustard and this and that. Anyway, which kind of frustrated my mom sometimes, but it's okay. She put all this stuff up so that we can have a lot of good food to eat. Now today I don't have sweet potatoes. I don't know where my sweet potato went to. I guess I used it. But I'm going to do some squash, butternut squash that we grew in the garden last year, that my husband grew and put up in the freezer. So this is butternut squash. It's been parboiled, and all I'm going to do is heat it up a little bit, maybe put a little brown sugar on it. So it's very simple. It's a very simple meal, and anyway, if you just had gumbo and rice, it would still be very good. Another thing a lot of Cajuns eat with their gumbo is saltine crackers. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. It just depends on how it strikes me that day. So let's see. Check these potatoes. They're fork ready. See? So now what I'll do is I'll turn it off, and I'm going to run it through the colander here. I've learned over the years, just take the starch off of it. just real quick, not a big long thing. That's it. Now, I'm going to cover this. I want it to stay hot. In fact, I'm going to put the eggs in there. Not on that burner though, still too hot. I'm going to get my magic ingredients and I'll come back and show you how I make my potato salad. So simple and it's so good. You can put all sorts of stuff in potato salad, but this one is very, very plain, and that's how most of my family and friends like it, so we're going to keep it plain today.